In recent happenings, a Ghanaian TikTok celebrity called Asantewa celebrated her birthday, and this was the outfit for the birthday. This was where my customer got her inspiration from. She wanted me to design something similar for her. She wanted both the underbust corset and the jumpsuit as well. I decided to take you guys along with me. I'm not going to be leaving any bit of this process out. I'm going to be taking you guys along from A to Z so that if you want this design, you could make it for yourself. This particular episode, we shall be focusing on the underbust corset. In the next episode, we shall then be talking about the jumpsuits. All you need to do is to subscribe and be part of this wonderful family where we take you along this journey. This whole episode will also include the beading part of the dress. I shall be taking you through step by step how to bead this particular beautiful apparel. So, I want you to take a chill pill, stay, and keep watching to the end of this content. I present to you all the tools and materials we shall need for these tutorials. We shall be using this pink bridal satin. It's actually 1 yard, and at the end of the day, I ended up using half yard. Right here is the interfacing we shall be using also. This is what we call hairstay. This is the medium, okay? This is what they use for the color, which is also called the color stay. It's a bit harder. I opted for this because I wasn't going to be adding interfacing to the facing piece of the corset. There is this beautiful look and feel bridal satin tends to give when there is no interfacing attached to it. We shall also be using this gold color grommet. This is of a size 24. When you are going for underbust corset or corset that you're going to be snatching the waist so much, if you go for the normal ribbon like this one, it can disappoint your customers when pressure becomes much. So this is what I usually use if I'm going to be snatching the waist of my corset, like underbust corset and those stuffs. This is a bit firm. This cannot disappoint. This is so strong. We shall also be using this pearl setting machine. I'm going to be using it to insert these pearls. My customer wanted me to attach some pearls to the corset. Our armhole curve, our ruler, our marker, boning, fishing wire, some beads and crystals, rhinestones, so some beads. We should also be using these mini pegs, our calculator, and our pins and the magnet for holding our pins. In our previous tutorials, we've learned already how to draft the pattern for this particular underbust corset. If you've not watched that video, please kindly check that out. I've gone ahead to use the pattern to cut all the pieces, including the lining. I've given about 1/2 inch joining allowances. For the lining, I've also gone ahead to use the same bridal satin, which is the same fabric piece, to cut all the pieces out. So both the lining and the facing pieces are all the same fabric piece. And what I also did was I attached the interfacing to only the lining. I've already explained that to you in the beginning part of the video. So I'm not going to be attaching any interfacing to the facing pieces, only to the lining. So I've gone ahead to attach the sleeve to the lining piece. What I'm trying to do now is I'm arranging all the pieces in order, both the lining and the facing fabric. So once I was done arranging it this way, that's the same way I'm going to be joining the pieces. So I'll take it to my sewing machine and join all the pieces for the facing fabric and all the pieces for the lining. This was the outcome after joining the pieces. This is the facing piece and this is the lining piece, which has the sleeve attached to it. So I've gone ahead to also cut all the bonings, making sure that I've left about 1/2 inch above and below as the joining allowances. I'll go ahead and stitch on the boning one side and the other side on all the channels that I've created for the bonings. This was the outcome also. Take a look at that. I think this was already giving my corset structure. And this is the facing piece. I've gone ahead to bead this part, so we will complete the beading together here. Let's start. So for the beading, we have a lot of beads out there. These are what we call the sequins or the sequins. They are made of rubber and they come in different shapes: the petal shape, the star shape, and a whole lot of shapes. So these are basically the 4 sequins I'm going to be using. Next, we also have what we call the sand beads and the seed beads. So the differences between the sand and the seed beads are the sand beads are so tiny and the seed beads are a bit bigger than that of the sand beads. I have with me these golden and red sand beads we shall be using. These are some other plastic colorful beads. They are also bigger than that of the sand beads. These are some silver pearls I shall be using. They are also made of plastic. This one has a hole that I can pass my needle through, but this other pearl doesn't have a hole in it. Everything is sealed up, so we will need to use the pearl setting machine to be able to use this other pearl that doesn't have the hole. These are also some rhinestones we shall be needing, and this is the rhinestone machine we'll be using to insert all this. And I have with me my matching thread and a fishing wire. We all know that fishing wire is colorless. For that matter, when you use it for your beading, it doesn't show up. That is fine. Per experiment, I've also discovered that it's not all the time fishing wire works out. There are some fabric pieces when you use fishing wire, it will disappoint you. This was basically what I experienced in this particular beading. So I'll be taking you through at the end of this video for you to get it better. Now let's get started. The first thing in beading is you ought to draw out or mark out the shape you want your bead to assume after you are done with everything. That is, if you're a beginner especially, you need to do this. If you're not a beginner and you trust yourself, you could go ahead and start beading right away. The first thing I want us to do is I've taken one of my star sequins, which is blue in color. I've placed it on top of the facing part of the piece. I'm going to turn it at the back, pass my needle through, making sure that it comes through the hole. There's a hole in the middle of the sequence, just this way. The next thing I'll do is I'll take one of the sand beads this way. Guys, at this point my camera had stopped recording. I finished with everything before I realized my camera was not really recording, so I decided to take a different fabric piece to take you guys along with me. So let's continue. First, I picked one of the sequence pins this way, passed my needle from the back through the hole of the sequence, and I'm going to be taking one seed bead, pass it through the needle. I'll just shift it away from the hole of the sequence this way. Then I'll pass my needle through that sequence hole again to the back. I'll pull that. You see that? It means this seed bead is now serving as a preventive piece that is preventing the sequence from falling off. If you don't have the seed bead and you have the sand bead, you can also use the sand bead. So I take another sequence, a different shape. I pass my needle through from the back. Place one seed bead this way. I'll shift it away from the hole of the sequence and pass my needle through again. I'll pull my thread through the back again. I hope this is really clear. If it is not clear, let me take it again. This is basically how to bead with this type of sequence. So I've taken another sequence, and that is the same process I shall be repeating. Just take a critical look at that. I think this is very simple. The use of a sand bead and a seed bead in this process is very, very cardinal and very, very important. You can't do away with these two if you are employing this method. Let me experiment this for you to see. I just passed my needle from the back of the sequence. This time around I didn't add any seed bead, and I took it back to the hole. You realize that the sequence has fallen off. Yes, this is how important the seed bead is. The next bead is what we call the star bead. This is made of plastic, so I'm going to be repeating the same process for this star bead also. This is also looking really, really beautiful. The other way you can also use a seed bead is to just bead it directly on the fabric piece rather than using it as a preventive piece or a blockage for a sequence. You can also do that directly on your fabric piece. I want to teach you how to use the pearl setting machine. It comes with a very tiny metal which you hook to the pearl to keep it in place. So that one will go down, then I'll push my pearl into the upper part of the pearl setting machine, and I'll just press it on my fabric. This is just simple. This is how it is. Look at the back, neatly finished, and the front was also neatly finished. Never mind if you don't have the pearl setting machine. When you're going to buy the bead, buy the one that has a hole through, so that you can use your thread and needle to pass through this way, just as I'm showing you. Look at that, they are all looking almost the same. Okay, so don't get worried, don't kill yourself if you don't have a pearl setting machine.
Primarily, this was the process I repeated over and over again on this fabric piece until I landed on this beautiful outcome.
And the next thing I want us to do is I want us to fill in the spaces with my rhinestone. This is of the color red. I've gone ahead to plug my rhinestone machine on my electric source, waited for a while for it to get heated up. Now I'll place the rhinestone on top of the fabric. Place the heated machine on top of the rhinestone for about 10 to 15 seconds. Then that is all. Everything will be melted and everything will be stick to the fabric. So this is just basically how to attach your rhinestone. Basically, this is how to attach a rhinestone to your fabric piece. I hope this tutorials was very clear and very informative.
So at this moment, we've completed our beading, and this was the lining I'm putting on top of the facing fabric, right side facing each other. So I'll join from the armhole to the neckline to the hem of the dress and to the other side. So this was after I've joined that, but I've left one opening at one side, and this is the side I've left the opening, just this side. Apart from that, I've joined every other side together. This will help me for the turnover. So let me go ahead and turn it over. This was the turnover.
Now for the space we left for the turnover, I'm going to be pushing in the allowances inside, then I'll do a top stitch just to secure and close up that hole too. These are my two grommet straps I've gone ahead to make. I'll be attaching these two pieces at the center back, and this will serve as a lacer for our corset. After I was done with the back, this was how the back was looking also. This is beautiful already. I want us to analyze this corset and see the problem and what's really caused that. If you take a very look at the left side of this particular apparel, you realize that there are a lot of scrambles, there are a lot of creases. Everything was not really smooth. But if you look at the other side, this was a bit relaxed. This was not giving me a lot of creases, and this was a bit smoother.
The reason being that for the part that didn't really come out well, I used the fishing wire. So when I was using this fishing wire, it was just kind of pulling my fabric piece. It was just kind of giving me a lot of challenges. So I have to swap along the line to use a thread and needle, and that really gave me the neat finishing at the right side area. So one thing about fishing wire is, we all know that fishing wire is really good in beading. It is colorless, so when you use it for your beading, it doesn't really leave a lot of fabric marks, and this is a plus. But trust me dear, it's not all fabric pieces that when you use fishing wire, it really works. Something like this, for instance, it didn't work out for us. The thread and needle really gave us a very neat finishing. So you make sure that any fabric piece you're working on or you're dealing with, know whether to go for the thread and needle or to use the fishing wire. This is just my observation, and I want to just dish it out to you.
Hope this video has been very helpful. I love you guys. Stay tuned. Bye bye.